Hello, good evening, and thanks for another edition of Ideas Exchange. Tonight, our focus will be on the Electoral Commission. It will be on the Electoral Commission because of an incident yesterday. You remember that some few days ago, the minority in Parliament raised concerns about missing equipment. They were specific. They spoke to biometric verification devices. But the EC quickly held a press conference and said there was nothing about BVDs, but rather 5 laptops could not be traced. Then, within 2-3 days after, there was a leaked memo that suggested that indeed there were issues about biometric verification devices that were supposed to be submitted. And EC's narrative suggested that there was some attempt to cover up. And so NDC continued to pile pressure on the Electoral Commission, which led to the IPAC meeting yesterday. After the IPAC meeting, NDC has come out protesting. It claims several critical issues they tabled at the IPAC meeting for EC to address were not taken care of as they expected. And so the NDC thinks that there is an unfinished business. Now, this is coming at a time when the institution itself, the Electoral Commission, is fast losing its credibility. This is a result of the posturing that people have seen over the past few years. Before the 2020 elections, and I want to limit this conversation to events that unfolded before the election itself, EC came out and spoke to the need to look at the voters' register. EC kept assuring the public that it was not going to tamper with data on the old register, but eventually we saw an EC which was bent on using the Ghana card, which saw the direct or indirect disenfranchisement of Ghanaians in areas that were perceived to be strongholds of the opposition. So under the guise of COVID, there were restrictions on movement of people in the Volta region, in parts of the Elubo area in the western region, across the border through the Bono area towards the upper west, upper east, certain areas of upper west, and of course, parts of the Volta region and the stretch towards the northern region. People had difficulties. Now, why we will call it difficulties? Because a number of Ghanaians who ordinarily would have crossed into the country to register were either deemed to be Ghanaians or blocked from entering the country. Again, at the same time, we saw the National Identification Authority, which was busy registering people in strongholds of the ruling party, even under the caution of the Ghana Medical Association at the time that it could lead to the spread of COVID. It was ignored. And EC was happy to get it registered the way it wanted. And I'm using my words deliberately because I witnessed it and I thought that the narrative EC gave was not corresponding to what we saw on the ground. Fast forward, we saw an Electoral Commission which went into an election and ended up giving the results several times. And so what happened in 2020, before and after the elections, is informing how political parties will wake up towards the 2024 elections. The NDC has already served notice that it is not going to be business as usual. And we know the 2024 elections will be a do and die affair for both the NPP, which wants to break the 8, and the NDC, which thinks that everything is pointing to the victory for the NDC in 2024. And therefore, any attempt to manipulate the process will be fiercely resisted. And so here we are. The EC met political parties. The issues on the table were the pending registration of voters ahead of the 2024 elections and the issues about missing equipment or BVDs or laptops or whatever you choose to call it. As we speak, EC will be very busy between now and April 30th because it will be preparing for the Ejoso by-election. It means that between now and that time, April 30th, EC will not be focusing much on what will happen beyond April 30th towards the 2024 elections. And just after that, 1 week after that, EC will be opening its centers for the registration of voters for the major election, December 7, 2024. And you know, as we speak, I don't see anything like publicity towards the 2024 election voter registration because it is barely 1 month away. people know that the registration will be taking place at the district offices. I personally have issues with it because unlike as we have it now, if you come to my community and you want to register, it is easy for party agents, for residents to attest to the fact that they don't know you in the vicinity. And that alone is a process of blocking people from pushing names into the voter register or doing what we call gerrymandering. That is not going to happen in 2024 because we know the EC wants to do this at the district office, and then it says it will try to consider how to reach areas and create new centers which people should know by now. That is still not out there. And so what happened at the IPAC meeting yesterday is raising the suspicion of an agenda. And this agenda is buttressed on two things. You remember last year, around July, EC went to Parliament with the National Identification Authority, and it was pressed on pushing a CI that will limit the eligibility to register to the Ghana card. Thankfully, because of mismanagement of the economy and the IMF conditionalities, government will not find money. In fact, it cannot find money for the NIA to complete the process. And so the EC has swallowed its own bullets and says that, look, Ghana card will not be a priority. But what is happening may look at a plan B unfolding. And so I want you to listen to two tapes. The first one is the Director of Elections of the NPP. The Director of Elections of the NPP spoke after the IPAC meeting yesterday. For him, there's nothing to worry about. If the NDC thinks that there are missing BVDs, NDC must go to the police and report. Listen to Director of Elections of the NPP.
The new patriotic party, we don't have the authority to provide security for the EC. Here is the case. The NDC says that through their investigation and intelligence, they are able to unravel these missing BVRs, BVDs. Let them volunteer information to the police to assist the police in the investigation. Should we bother our heads over this too? Please, let's find out from the EC the actual situation. And I really have my doubt whether we should not discuss something else than to spend our whole energies on this issue. And the Northern issue, the Nanton issue, the Takwa, this is said, their installations were vandalized. And out of that, some of their BVDs are missing. They are not able to trace them, but they've reported to the police. It is for all interested parties, stakeholders, to assist. Other than that, I don't see where there should be a confusion.
But they told you, they gave you the briefing today at the IPAC meeting.
The last limited registration exercise they did in Takwa, they had a problem. The district level elections they conducted, they had an issue in Northton. The case of Nanton, they couldn't conduct the exercise, and the 9 or 8 of the BVDs are with the police in Nanton. This is what the EC finished us when we had the IPAC meeting. I think we can verify from there.
So that's Evans Nemako, the Director of Elections of the NPP. Of course, Dr. Mani Buama is also the Director of Elections of the NDC. In fact, he raised the issues which Nemako spoke to. Listen to Dr. Mani Buama.
The thefts at the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. And I must say, it is very disappointing, the attitude of the NPP towards this theft. Why? Because if we can have the headquarters of the Electoral Commission of Ghana under CCTV surveillance, and then significant components of biometric verification registration kits are stolen. And listen to me carefully. The EC did not voluntarily supply the information. It was the NDC's intelligence that picked up the theft case and questioned the EC in Parliament. The question is, but for the NDC's intelligence picking this up, when will the EC have informed the political parties? And so when the agenda included this briefing on the biometric devices, we decided that we will put forward the pertinent questions, which we read all to them. I would say over 97% of the questions were not answered. And I'll take you through them. There are laptops and there are laptops. Have the missing component of the BVR been found? If the missing items have been found, when? And we mean date and time. And where were they found? Who or how were the missing items discovered? Really, how many are missing or cannot be found or traced? Because it was NDC that picked up intel. What is the full scope of this theft that has been confirmed? What are the serial numbers of the missing items under discussion? And the serial numbers are very important when we get to data integrity. Does the EC have the purchasing invoices together with serial numbers at time of purchase of the missing items? Did the EC have official recorded inventory of the missing items prior to the theft? Is there present inventory of such sensitive items to aid a comprehensive inquiry, public inquiry, that can allay the fears of all stakeholders? Regarding investigation, the EC indicated to us that they reported the matter to the police. Our question is, when did the EC become aware?
So that's Dr. Omane Boama. He's the Director of IT and Elections of the National Democratic Congress. Fortunately, I'm in the studio with somebody who was also present at the meeting. Is the Deputy Director of Elections and IT of the NDC's Dr. Tanku Rashid. Computer is with me in the studio. Of course, we'll be joined on via Zoom later in this program by David Kumi Ado, is Executive Director of Care for Free and Fair Elections, and that's Care Ghana for short. Now, Doc, first of all, thanks for the privilege, short notice, but I'm happy you are here with us. First of all, now, help us appreciate why the NDC is so scared about missing BVDs, and what are your suspicions?
Well, Eric, our suspicion is grounded on the posture of the Electoral Commission. If you look at their behavior, their attitude, the way they conduct themselves over the years, has given a cause for alarm to be worried about the way they are approaching the 2024 elections. Mind you, 2020 was their major election these commissioners conducted when they came into office. The major election it was just the 2020. It ended up in court. I mean, the whole country saw how shambolic the election was. To the extent even the commissioner herself refused to cross-examine. And so we're thinking that they would have learned their lessons from the 2020. But little did we know that they were even going to do worse things during the district assembly election. You saw how shambolic it was. We've never seen this type of election. The district assembly election, where genuine people have registered, they have ID cards, went to the voting centers, and their names were not found in the register. Even those who voted in 2020 came to vote during the district assembly elections and could not find their names. As we speak now, we have been able to trace almost 26,000 names not being found in the register. We took it up with them. The first IPAC meeting, we met them. That was on the 7th of February. We took issues with it. We raised issues about the register. And we told them that the register needs to be cleaned. There is a problem with the register. We cannot use that register for any purpose. Because you can't have a register where people have ID cards genuinely registered. They go to cast their vote and their names are not found. Is that the same thing we are going to expect when we come to December 7th? Raise issues with them on that matter. The same thing, you remember, this is the first time for a very long time that elections are held. We have shortage of ballots at polling stations. This last district assembly election recorded widespread of shortages, unprecedented. What has come of their ballot accounting? What has come of it? If they think they are on top of issues, why should there be shortages of ballots at polling stations? All this in all marriage of issues came together, and we told them that they need to sit up. Little did we know that there were even worse things going on at the commission that we didn't know. In fact, our intelligence gave them out. Because whilst we are worried deeply, is that when you talk of BVR, that is the biometric verification registration kits, has several components that build up the BVR. Now, the major component among them is the laptop. The laptop is not the ordinary laptop. It's not like the ordinary laptop you see in the market. These are specialized laptops designed purposely for that. And they are embedded, certain software are put on them that are used to capture the database of registrants. So when you come to the workstation, the workstation is the items that form the BVR. That is the scanner, the printer, the camera.
And what perhaps you may take your thumbprint.
That's the thumbprint or this. All these things put together is what we call the workstation. And the major item is the BV. It is in the laptop. Because all of them are connected to the laptop. Whatever you do, it goes into the laptop and they process it and print it out. So if somebody picks the laptop, invariably, it's like the person has picked the heart of the human being. Sure, if your leg is amputated, you can still live for a while. If your arm is amputated, you can still live. But when your heart is taken out, I don't think you can.
But the EC at the press conference that sought to shoot down the alarm blown by the minority created the impression that the data on the laptop has been captured already. So the laptop is like an empty cargo, which is sitting out there.
Well, that is where I'm saying they have been very evasive to Ghanaians. They are not telling Ghanaians the truth. When the minority leader held the press conference and they came out and were trying to rubbish it and all that, yesterday they came out clean. In fact, they explained everything out and vindicated the minority leader. But the minority leader was talking about BVDs, missing BVDs. And they said, no, nothing of that's what happened. But yesterday they accepted that actually there were some BVDs that cannot be accounted. And they even indicated that 5 of them at Takwan Swayam, the district assembly election, of which even our officers this morning told us that nothing of that's what happened in that constituency.
There was no violence,
there was no violence in the district assembly. Nothing. It's only the 2020 election that violence erupted in that constituency. You remember one of the constituency, the 5 constituency, they went and vandalized, killed people, and then took those 5 constituencies and made up their 137. Takwan Swayam was one of them. So the district assembly election didn't record that kind of violence there. So for them to tell us that 5 of the BVD got missing or vandalized, in fact, interestingly enough, Tete, one of the deputies, indicated that 5 of the BVDs were missing. And then along the line, when the discussion was ongoing, Bosman came back and indicated, no, it wasn't missing, but it was vandalized. That the 5 BVDs were vandalized.
But it looks funny, though. You would advance your point, because there's a commission that organizes a press conference, speaks to the nation, and was very categorical about no BVD missing. How come at an IPAC meeting there will be giving conflicting statements at the event?
Very, very interesting. And you see the interesting aspect. When he came back and said it was vandalized, my boss asked him the question that, okay, if the 5 BVDs were vandalized, can you show a footage of the vandalized BVD? Because, or we would have salvaged some of the vandalized systems. They couldn't. He posed them 35 questions, germane questions on the issue of the missing BVDs and then the BVRs. They couldn't answer it. They sought permission that we should give them time to talk to their technical people
and come back.
Can you imagine? So at the time they were holding the press conference, they didn't know that the issues bordered on technicality. So they didn't have the technical know-how while they were doing the press conference.
Did the meeting have an agenda?
It has three agendas. They were talking of a GSU by-election. They were talking of the registration exercise. And they were talking of the missing.
So if the meeting was premised on an agenda that was set, which they gave to you,
yes,
why would they leave in the middle of the meeting to consult and come back?
That's why they said we should give them time. I mean, they couldn't answer the question because all the 35 questions that Dr. Mani posed them, they couldn't answer them. Because it was genuine. You have CCTV cameras all over the place. Okay, when did you get to know that items were missing? Because you didn't tell Ghanaians that your items were missing. It was through us, through the minority in Parliament, that pushed you. And you know, because they were under oath, they came to a public account committee to testify on certain issues, and they were under oath, so they couldn't lie. But when they posed them the question about the missing BVRs, they were taken aback. So they had no option than to agree that, yes, ideally some items were missing under their care. And so it was there that we realized that we need to push them further. There are more to it than what we are even looking at. So when we push them further, then they came out, you know them with their usual pressure and come and rubbish everything, only to go back to admit that actually some items got missing and all that. And we said, look, for a very long time, you've been doing offline and online registration. Now, offline registration, if you get hold of the laptop, okay, you are good to go. Because the software is there. The issue of taking pictures and all that, you can easily get camera and connect to it. There are no any special cameras over there. The issue of printer, you can easily buy a printer in the market and connect it. Because the only thing is that you do the entering, input everything right on the software, and it will print it out. And you know, the behavior of this EC, where people's names are captured and then during voting, you cannot be found. We can't trust them. That is where our fear is. So if somebody should have this software and go and do his own offline registration and put it onto drives and give it to them, these people will put it onto the main register. So that is why we are following them on the heels that, look, we must get to the bottom of this. We can't allow them. You can just tell it they are laptops, as if it's just ordinary laptops they have. Now tell us the serial numbers of those laptops. You have inventory of items in your...
What would the serial number do to maybe scrutinizing what enters their data?
Of course, if I know the serial number of a laptop that was used, a gadget that was used, I could be able to trace which data came out from it that was inputted into the national data. I mean, we are into this business for a very long time. So just give me the serial number. That is why they say even it is not enough putting a password on your laptop. If somebody gets hold of the serial number of your laptop, it can do a lot of things behind your scene. And so these are the things we are talking about. They should give us this. They should give us the inventory of items that they have there. Where did they buy all? When did they deploy them? Which time did they deploy them? On which constituency did they deploy all these things? So just telling me that you have already offloaded the data on it is empty.
What was EC's response?
They said we should give them time. These are technical questions we have asked them. They have to get to their technical people to help them answer them. So we said, okay, fine. So when you were doing the press conference, rubbishing everybody, you didn't know that there were technical issues involved in that. So it means they are just taking Ghanaians for a ride.
No, these are serious issues because many Ghanaians are observing the terrain. They are also assessing the posturing of EC, the NDC, the NPP, other political parties. There is the fear out there that should anything go wrong, there will be crisis in this country. Some have even referred to Nigeria because Jeddah had to come to Ghana, and therefore there is this heightened suspicion of cross-country sharing of strategy and so on and so forth. These are perceptions. Now, we have 1 month ahead of the registration for the 2024 elections. Within this period, EC will be busy focusing on Ejuso. What do you think has to change the narrative before May 7?
Certainly, you've gotten it right. See, when you talk of free and fair election, it's not on the D-Day. It's the process. The process leading to the general election itself. It's very crucial. It's not on the day. It's just like you saying that, okay, on the election day, when you see people queuing and voting, and then there's no issue, no violence, then it's free and fair. It's not free and fair. They would have rigged the election long since before the D-Day. They use the registration process to prepare themselves, muddy the register. You won't have a credible register. Then you go and organize your people and think that you're having credible register. Well, they will rig the election before even the D-Day. These are the processes they've started. They started that process because right now the 2023 register, the register they are going to use for the GC by-election is not a good register. It's a very bad register. It's not a credible register.
Does it mean you should compile a new register?
What is saying there? This current register needs to be clean. They need to make sure that those names that they have taken out, you should bring them back. Otherwise, people will go for the GC.
But is it also possible some names have been added that you don't know?
We are tracking all that. That's why I'm saying that we're looking at some region of 26,000. Because genuinely, people were holding ID card. Okay, they had the leaflets. Apart from the ID card, they give you the leaflets to attach. And their names were not in the register. So what happened? That's why I'm saying that they need to do something about it. Because right now you go for this by-election and you go in queue, you get to your time, and they say your name is not in the register. What are you doing?
It sounds interesting. I'll come back to you, but let me spend just 5 to 8 minutes with David Kumi, who is the Executive Director of Care Ghana, on this subject, and come back to you in the studio. But you'll be part of the conversation along the line. David, first of all, thanks for your time, and we are happy to have you with us on Ideas Exchange. David, can you hear me? Good evening again. This is Ideas Exchange, TVXYZ.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Right. David, you have monitored this conversation. First of all, what is your impression after reactions that we got from the political parties after IPAC's meeting yesterday?
Thank you. I am not surprised the NPP is okay with whatever clarification or reasons the Electoral Commission gave, because they are in power. And obviously, the Electoral Commission was appointed by their government. So there are certain privileges and opportunities they may have that the opposition party may not have those privileges. So when you are not sitting in the room, you are not part of the meeting, it is very, very difficult for you to know exactly what is happening. So the opposition political parties have to be very, very sure as to what is happening so that they are not shortchanged. Because rigging an election, for those who think that rigging an election is the day of voting, they will be missing it. Rigging an elections commences at the processes to the elections. So if you get things wrong at the processes, registration and all those things, decisions by the Electoral Commission, that is the election management body, then you will get it wrong at the final days, especially when the elections are on. So for me, I think that vigilance is very, very key. And I see the opposition party, especially the NDC, do that. So it's a good thing.
Okay, so now the issue at stake is about missing electoral equipment. Let me just paraphrase it as such. The NDC is making some demands. Between now and the time when we expect the voters register to have additional numbers, it's just about a month away. What must the NDC or EC be doing to ensure that this controversy is addressed?
The EC must support the call for auditing of the election equipments. Very, very key. Because, you know, the Electoral Commission is the referee. And to have a peaceful elections and an election that everybody is going to trust the final verdict, you must bring everybody on board. And you must clear any shred of doubt that the other key stakeholders will have. So we support the call for an audit by a bipartisan committee. And the Electoral Commission must listen to that and allow that to happen, so that at least any doubt that is in the mind of any of the political parties, those doubts will be cleared. Because if that doesn't happen, and then the Electoral Commission will go into the election with these doubts, there may be a very big challenge. Because when you look at these elections, it is not like any other elections that we've had in this country. The NPP has gone for 8 years, and they are bent on breaking the 8. The NDC are also bent on coming back, and a lot of things, strategies, skirmishes, and everything are going on. So what I think now is the Electoral Commission to ensure that all the parties their doubts have been cleared. They are certain that the Electoral Commission is impartial, that what it says is actually what is happening. Because I've heard arguments that some of the political parties are raising that there is more to than what meets the eye. Like, maybe it is not only 5 biometric verification, or let me say biometric voter registration device that has gone missing, or maybe the BVDs that have gone missing, and the 28 were telling us. Maybe it is more. If the Electoral Commission thinks that what the other people are saying, maybe some political parties or some people in this country are saying that there is more than what they are telling us, let us go into the auditing. Let us have an audit of all the equipments, election equipment, those we bought for the 2020 elections. Then we will actually ascertain whether what the Electoral Commission is telling us is actually true, or maybe what the other political parties or maybe other people are telling us is true. So that we settle the matter. Wherever they are, let's give the issue to the police, let them investigate.
Okay, so I'll come to you, David. Stay on the line. I'll ask you one more question before you go, but I want to put a question to Dr. Tanku Rashid, computer, with me in the studio. Now, there is this general activity around capturing of data for the EC's operations. And so when there's going to be any form of registration, the assumption is that political parties will have their agents there. And so even as we go into the next registration exercise for the 2024 elections, we assume that the register that was used for the district level elections, NDC has a copy, NPP has a copy, all political parties has a copy. For the NPP, what you are doing is pure mischief, because when we start on May 7th to May 27th, whatever will be captured, you will have that data, and therefore any inclusion would have been observed. So what is your fear or worry about?
Eric, you see, for MPP, I would describe it as an offshoot of this current Electoral Commission. Whatever the EC is saying, they go with them. Don't forget, when they were talking about moving the election from December to November, their chief proponents were the MP. Yeah, that was what they were thinking. At the IPAC, we were the McMenu and then the Obiamwa. They were the chief proponents of that changes. The issue of indelible, they were behind the scenes, pulling the strings and all that. So for them, we are not surprised. Even yesterday, listen to what they were talking about. That if we have evidence, we should go to court. The police and invest. Can you imagine?
But you said you have intel, so go to the police. Why would you want to go there?
That is why we gave out the intel, push it. When they rejected it, they came back and now accepted and told us that they went to the police, reported, and the police have arrested some people. We said, what do? They don't even want to tell us the people they have arrested. What kind of charges preferred on them? They don't even know yet. They are still keeping that. And we say, fine, we are waiting. These 35 questions, my boss posed them. If they are able to come clean, answer them, we will come back with another one. We have another intel. It's not only the BVR. There are other issues that we are holding on. We are monitoring them closely. That is why we are saying that very soon we are going to petition Parliament to investigate, get an international recognized body, especially KPMG or ICT recognized internet, to come and audit them. You remember 2012? The
yes,
NPP,
I do.
Yes, applied. They asked that the Electoral Commission then be audited.
It was done.
And it was done. UNDP funded that process. Thank God, yesterday, UNDP was representing the American Embassy. They took interest in the questions my boss was asked. They were very much happy with the questions. And because they realized that these people are up to something fishy. Because why do they come back?
US Embassy.
Yes, They were there. They were at the IPAC. And also we are telling them that their behavior has strengthened our position that this current EC should be audited. The EC should be audited. Their system should be audited. We need to know. They should give us inventory of all items they have under their care because it's our tax money. And we are major stake players in this business. We can't just sit down and force any type of election on us and say that we should go. We are not going to court this year election, 2024, is not going to any court. We'll end the election at the polling station and the results will be declared there.
And I'll come back
so
to
these
you.
are the processes we are saying that they must come clean.
I'll come back to you
issues.
because I will obviously continue the conversation with you. But David Kumi, before you go, what do you make of this very interesting angle that is emerging, that even the donor partners who are witnessing this, because if there is chaos in this country, I tell you, no diplomatic mission in this country would want it or would be happy about it. There are so much investments in this country, and therefore, whatever happens going into the 2024 elections is key. I remember before the 2020 elections, one of the things Jean Mensa said when she was given the position was that EC was going to be independent and they were not going to fall on any support from the usual donor partners, which comes or came before we ran our elections. Now, from where you sit as an observer, do you fear there is much more tension ahead or possibly chaos ahead of any activity, maybe the limited registration or registration exercise coming?
Well, when it comes to the diplomatic front, I am a bit disappointed in the way they have handled our issues, especially when it comes to the electoral matters, and then their contribution to national development. Because most of the times I see them supporting government in a lot of things that the government is doing, even though when people have said that these things that the government is doing is not inuring to the benefit of the people of this country. So most of the times I feel that maybe they think that supporting government is what is going to help them. Now, nobody wish this country any chaos. We all want a country that is not divided, a country that there is cohesion, a country that there is so much unity, a country that we show love to ourselves and all those things. Elections are just simply an exercise that you are going to choose an individual or a group of people or party that should lead the country to the development that we want. So nobody will actually be calling for any chaos to happen. But you see, if anything should happen, it is the Electoral Commission. I have said many times that the Electoral Commission is the referee that must be impartial, the referee that must be fair, the referee that must be able to deliver a free, transparent, and credible elections. And if that happens, no one will ever have any complaint or have the cause to take up arms in hand. So if anything should happen, it should be the Electoral Commission. Now, I just want to take us back a bit to the BVR, if you permit me.
Yes, if you can make it brief because of time. I said you can make it brief.
Ghanaians, okay. I want Ghanaians to have a better understanding as to what we are talking about. Because many times the Electoral Commission has just come to say this is just a laptop. But you see, this is not just a laptop. This is a laptop that is the main component of the biometric registration device. And this laptop works online and offline. Anybody in possession of this laptop, okay, can transfer people without the notice of the voters, can also register people without the notice of key stakeholders. And this can alter the final results of the election. And when you do this, the people's verdict is the one that has been set. So this is not just equipment. And I think that every single individual in this country must take a keen interest in what we are talking about. Because if anything should happen, see, if we are not able to find this equipment, okay, and then we go to the registration exercise, it will be very, very worrying and troublesome. I'm telling you, because what will happen? Remember that in the 2020 elections, the Electoral Commission told the people of this country that it has deleted 32,000 names from the voters register. And the reason he gave was that such persons registered outside the stipulated period that the Electoral Commission was doing the registration. So who are those who registered these people onto the register that the Electoral Commission should delete their names? So it means that a lot of things can happen with these particular equipments that we, up to today, we don't have. So the advice I am going to give is that the Electoral Commission should focus in finding these devices, these equipment that it has chosen to call it just laptops, so that going into the registration exercise, nobody may raise a false alarm or have any impression that since we cannot find 5 of the biometric voter registration device, some people may be sitting somewhere and registering people on the blind side of key stakeholders, political parties, the Electoral Commission itself, and then civil society organizations. So it is key in order for us to protect the peace and security of this country. It is very, very important that the Electoral Commission prioritize this particular thing. It shouldn't, what do you call it?
We shouldn't make mistakes that we can prevent. Yes, David, unfortunately, it looks like I don't have much time. I'm so grateful for your time. David Kumiado is the Executive Director of Care Ghana. Very strong points in there. Now, let me come to you before we take a short break. So, as it is now, what should Ghanaians expect? What should the masses who may be looking up to the NDC to ensure that the processes are clean if the MPP will not give you that support? What should they expect?
Well, we are taking it upon ourselves to reach out to the diplomatic missions anytime soon. A team, as of yesterday, in fact, discussed it thoroughly, and a team will be put together to reach out to the diplomatic missions. We'll give them detailed information about this, and then we'll also be petitioning Parliament. That has oversight responsibility over these things, so that if you can get an audit body to audit them, because right now the EC is very evasive in their posturing concerning these BVDs and BVRs. We're talking of, they said 5 missing. Already their own memo talking of 28 unaccounted. Yesterday they were saying that they got some few in northern region and they are with the police. See, it means they are not even telling Ghanaians it.
The inconsistencies.
The inconsistencies among them is just too much.
For the sake of complementing what you said, I want our producers to play back what Gary Namako said. He's the Director of Elections of the NPP. Now, if you listen very carefully, he admits that the EC told IPAC that some BVDs are missing. When he was pressed further, he started becoming evasive. But I put together excerpts of this interview he granted the advancements of Joy FM.
The new patriotic party, we don't have the authority to provide security for the EC. Here is the case, the NDC says that through their investigation and intelligence, they are able to unravel these missing BVRs, BVDs. Let them volunteer information to the police to assist the police in the investigation. Should we bother our heads over this too? Please, let's find out from the EC the actual situation. And I really have my doubt whether we should not discuss something else than to spend our whole energies on this issue. And the Northern issue, the Nanton issue, the Takwa, this is said, their installations were vandalized. And out of that, some of their BVDs are missing. They are not able to trace them, but they've reported to the police. It is for all interested parties, stakeholders, to assess. Other than that, I don't see where there should be a confusion.
But they told you, they gave you the briefing today at the IPAC meeting.
So, as I said, so you heard the Director of Elections of the NPP, and this information was put before IPAC yesterday. And of course, EC couldn't have told the public that they were not aware of the vandalization at Takwa, if it is true, which we are told never happened, or maybe missing BVDs in Nanton or other places before the IPAC meeting that took place yesterday. There were incidents that happened before. And because EC must take proper inventory of everything in their custody, because these are national security related matters, it would suggest that that press conference was full of lies. And that is why, personally, I think this issue is that serious that all of us must look up to. Now, there's an institution called the National Peace Council. There is also a group of people called clergymen, whether they represent Muslims or Christians. Beyond that, we have civil society organizations. We have election observers. For example, Kodeo yesterday was suggesting that, look, NDC can go to the police station and just report. It reflected a Kodeo which was not playing its role as a proper coordinated body for election observing or election monitoring purposes. We'll be taking a short break. When we come back, we'll look at these aspects and, of course, preparation towards the elections at Ejoso and the elections ahead when the EC is set to compile a voters register or add to it between May 7 and 27.
Upon your arrival, you are introduced to your butler, who plans your itinerary. So many activities, all in the same premises. You visit the gym or the stables, they have it all. At my break, I'm able to practice my putting. They used only electric vehicles here. This creates a serene environment. I'm told it's over 1,000 acres. My cabin here sits on 2 acres with a large terrace space overlooking my private swimming pool. Now this is royalty. They have their own farms, thousands of fruit trees. I can also have my lunch here at the waterfall. Quite a beautiful place you have yourself.
Welcome back. This is Ideas Exchange on TVXYZ. I told you that as we walk towards the 2024 elections, this program will be more centered on any related activity to keep you informed. We are looking at the Electoral Commission. The spotlight is on EC because of what happened yesterday, which is raising fears of maybe confusion or trouble ahead. Now, I made reference to other key critical stakeholders who must add their voice. Once upon a time in this country, there was this clarion call on very influential groups to speak truth to power, to help us, help government to do the right things. Many of them sat on the fence and observed a lot of things that were going wrong. And today, many people have regretted and they are now crying when things have just been destroyed. There's this perception about activities that are denting the images of institutions. Maybe EC is allowing itself to be roped into that bracket. I remember in February this year, the National Peace Council, after sleeping for a long time, made an attempt to bring political parties together to speak to peace, because we are in 2024 and they are feeling the temperature across the country. Even within security camps, this temperature is there. I can tell you on authority because I have ears and I hear. Now listen to how the women's organizer, the national women's organizer of the NDC, addressed the Peace Council. And I'm playing this tape because I want to find out, are they monitoring what happened at the EC yesterday? And are they interested? After listening to him, I'll get some reaction for Dr. Rashid Tanko, who is with me in the studio.
You do when you had government-sponsored vigilantes holding guns and to the teeth, being led by a police commander to beat members of parliament, to go into a candidate's house and shoot people. What was it for? They finished and gave a white paper. What was the government's comment? What about those who went and relieved their pain? What happened? Has the Peace Council tackled that issue? No, it hasn't. Election 2020, people died. 14-year-old girl was shot dead. A man who just went to observe as part and parcel of our civil responsibility as citizens of this country was shot dead. Young ones were killed. What did the state do? What did Peace Council do? Were you able to talk to the president? Those in charge of security, we want to know, because I've seen that in your document. It is written that the issue of 2020 election-related violence could not be addressed. If it couldn't be addressed by then, what are we doing talking about peace? If there's no justice. And so if I'm going into an election now, you expect me to trust the system. We went to Ascent North, and if you care to know, 4 of our guys were shot. As a political party, we decided not to make noise out of it. We carry them to the don't need to be downplayed in this country. If you want to call the spade, let's tackle it from where the problem is. So we cannot be in a nation where we keep talking about nobody will sit down this time for peace, peace, peace. And when you get there, the peace is not observed, because we will also be on high alert.
Now, if you listen to Dr. Hanabisu, she sounded very emotional. When he spoke, it resonated with a lot of Ghanaians. We are sitting on a timing bomb. You think that at this stage, the Peace Council can step in, or it is too early because maybe they need further and better particulars?
Eric, left me, I'm telling you, Peace Council, they have lost their credibility long since. All these ills going on in this country, you have Peace Council. They don't see anything. They don't hear anything. They don't care. They only wait. When it is about some few months to election, they start disturbing our ears.
You should sign.
Sign this. I'm sure this year they won't bring that kind of rubbish to us. Because that thing, you'll meet our candidate, a former president, sign to a document to uphold the sanctity of the electoral process, only for you to go behind the scene and allow 8 people to be shot dead, and the Peace Council is still quiet. Have they issued any statement to condemn that action and to call on the president to arrest those behind this? Nothing. And so I'm not surprised Hannah was so emotional about this. Look, these things going on at the Electoral Commission, have you heard anything from them? They are quiet. They are completely quiet. They don't care. They should have been in the forefront, because it borders on security.
Were they present at the IPAC meeting yesterday?
They're always there.
Did they speak?
Quiet, damn quiet. They don't really say anything. The first time we met them at the IPAC, when that is the January one, I told him, they are representatives. I told him, I said, but you people, do you still exist? And he was laughing. I said, yes. Because the ills going on in the country and you people are quiet. You are not doing anything. You are just waiting for somewhere around October, November, then you start walking to our offices. We won't take that in. I told him. He said, oh, doctor, come down. I said, no, I'm telling you the truth. Because we won't allow ordinary Ghanaians to be shot and killed just because of somebody's parochial interest. Somebody just wants to be called president. We won't allow that. He saw that. I said, yes, we mean business. That is why we are taking the game to the Electoral Commission themselves. Because we realize they are surrogates into this kind of behavior going on in the country. And then therefore we have to take the battle to the EC. And we are telling them the truth. We are not fighting them. We are only making sure that they comply with the CI. The CI 126, which is talking of registration, as it is CI 191 as amended by 126. And then CI 127, which is for the election itself. Thank God they are not bringing any CI this year. They are not bringing any new CI. So we are still going to use the CI 127. Let's all commit ourselves to it.
Now, what are your concerns towards the pending registration exercise, which is going to be what I describe as the major one, because there will be a lot of interest? They were showing some pictures, videos on the screen, which was what we captured during the exercise before the district level elections.
Well.
It was very chaotic. I went to the EC headquarters personally, and it was not easy. Were there lessons learned? How are those going to be factored into what will happen from May 7 to 27? And what was the discussion about when you met the EC yesterday?
Ideally, before yesterday IPAC meeting, we all agreed that this time they are going to add how to reach electoral areas. Apart from their district offices, they will continue to maintain the district offices. But this time that they will be adding on areas that are hard to reach.
Are you comfortable with the maintenance of the registration at the district offices?
We are not comfortable at all. Even if you look at the CIV, we told them the other time that, look, if you look at that enabling clause, talking about accessibility, because it is very clear that the registration centers should be accessible to the registrar.
Why do you think the EC
I don't know
has introduced this and seems to be interested in it?
Well, their partners are saying it's okay. The MPP, they don't see it to be any problem. They don't see anything wrong with that. To them, it's okay. It's easy. They will accept anything that goes on. And that gave us that suspicion that we have to follow them up with this. Because anytime there's an issue, then they quickly come in to support the Electoral Commission. Now they've identified 775 at-risk electoral areas. And they are going to include all the 25 public universities. So now we are going to, apart from the district offices, they are adding about 800 registration centers. They've just published the movement plan of it. Our IT officers, they have downloaded it, and we are going to make sure that it gets to these people. In fact, we are prepared as a political party, NDC, because we realize that the registration process is key, because we must capture our members into the database. We must make sure that our people are properly registered, and that we can help to vote out this government. In fact, we need to protect the sanctity of the electoral process, and we need to also protect the soul of the state. And the only way we can do that is to win this election. Because if we are not able to protect the soul of the state, then Ghana is doomed forever. The kind of thing going on in the country is unprecedented. In fact, from 92, I've participated in all the elections up to now. I've never seen this kind of thing. And the kind of thing going on, we need to just come out.
You sound angry.
No, it's painful. Look at what is going on in the country. People will just come out, sit publicly, and lie to the general public, and expect that we should clap for them. Today, inflation is rising again. It's 25.8. They've just announced it. We didn't announce it. It's a government statistic. Look at the dollar rate, 13 point something. Where are we going? Then you go and launch a tracker. Who are you fooling?
They are suggesting that they have done better than your government.
Brother, the figures are showing it. You've just seen it today. The mass is 25%. It's going up. You can't even buy fuel for this thing. You go there, you have the money that you have in your pocket. Just go and try and say you want to change all this and see whether you can go home and feed your family. That's it. Everybody's crying. Businesses are collapsing.
There are some who fear that you disappointed Ghanaians in 2020 when it was obvious that, as you claim that you won the elections, you couldn't protect the ballot of the average Ghanaians who had trust in you. Why should anybody believe that in 2024, the NDC this time will protect every ballot for Ghanaians?
Yes, Eric,
who vote for you?
Yes, I must admit, you have a point there. Some of the things, yes, we didn't get it right in 2020, although there was massive rigging in some regions in the country. We should have done better. I can assure you, this current directorate, led by my boss, Omane Boama, I can give you 11 p.m. December 7th. Ghanaians will be jubilating. They will have another independence. Ghanaians will be jubilating. We have started. We've even seen the process we have started. Look, we did exams to get our directors of election. I'm president since 92. We've never done that. You have to write exams. You must cross 55 plus. If you are going to be a director of election for the constituency, if you want to be a regional director, you must cross 70 plus. Questions were bordered on electoral processes and the electoral system of this country. So I can assure you that all our district or constituency directors of elections are people who understand electoral process, as well as the regional district. We are also training of trainees. About 160,000 across the region. We've just finished 11 regions These weekends, we are going to cover the 5 regions. So we are battle ready for the December state. We have seen all the loopholes, and I'm telling, that's why I said this year election is not going to, even parliamentary election is not going to, not to talk of presidential election. We will finish the election at the polling station.
Booth for booth.
Booth for booth. We are finishing the election there. And that's why I give you 11 p.m. Nobody is going anywhere. Everybody, look, you see former ministers, former DCs, ambassadors, professional lawyers, accountants, all going to be party agents. They are going to be standing there as agents at the polling station. Go and misbehave there. Go and change figures there, or go and write figures which doesn't. Look, we had evidence from regions where figures don't tally with words. And this Electoral Commission declared results on those regions. And yet, officers who did that are still sitting in those offices as regional election directors of Electoral Commission. What has happened out there? If somebody should go and write a figure of 409,000, in West, you go and write 499,000. And yet nobody is saying anything in this country. Yes, we can blame our people for not looking at it critically, but the onus lies on the Electoral Commission to have seen that you don't write such a thing. Because when it becomes critical, you go in for the worst. And so we have seen all this things. And I'm saying that this time it's not going to work.
Unfortunately, I wish we could continue, but I can feel it myself that time is up. And many of you would have also wished to join this program as we do. But I bet you that we would have more of these. Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer is the Deputy Director of Elections of the NDC for Elections and IT. He will be joining me again from time to time. I'll make him a regular guest to satisfy the appetite of many of you who wish to know what really is going on. But I believe that this conversation has given you some insights to appreciate the issues on the ground, and of course the assurances by those for those who are still skeptical. You don't know what is going on, but I will only make this appeal that Ghana is for all of us, and therefore if you have a voice and you can raise it now to make sure the right things are done, please join those who are advocating for it, because a few people may have the opportunity to get out of this country. I may have the opportunity to get out of this country because beyond Fanti, Ga, English, or the local languages here, at least I can speak 1 or 2 more languages which are international. So maybe if there is chaos, I may join the bandwagon to run away. But many of you who are pretending to be angels and sitting on the fence will regret. We are not going to regret in this country. We will have an intact country called Ghana, peaceful and jubilating after whoever is declared the winner after the 2024 elections. Doc, thank you very much for your time. And of course, I'm also grateful to all of you. This program will be repeated tomorrow between 1 and 2 p.m. It's also going to be active on our social media handles, which broadcast it live. My name is Ahianyo. Good night.